What's up, guys? It's episode 2 of the Hoop Industry Podcast. Myself, Spencer Davies, of course, Tyler Neal, here at Run the Show in Twinsburg, Ohio. A lot to get to today. Obviously, last week had our guest, Tavari Johnson of the Akron Zips. They're coming off of a huge win over Princeton. They'd beat James Madison before that. Big start for Akron so far, but we've got a lot more to get into. High school basketball season starting. College is obviously off to a ripping start. And then the NBA, the stuff that I do, that's off to a good start too. And we can get into all sorts of action around all of those leagues. But first off, I think we didn't really tell each other and tell the people who we are, right? Like, I think that's pretty important. And we did that kind of in a pilot episode that we didn't post yet. And probably won't post because it was pretty awful. But I think it's really smart of us to tell everybody who we are, how we know each other, and all that other stuff, because that's something, I forgot to even address, because we kind of just jumped right in with Tavari as our guest. So, Ty, what's your background? What are we getting into here at Run the Show and everything with Hoop Industry?
Great question. So I grew up in the gym. I'm everything basketball. It's the only thing I know, only thing I'm good at, if people would give me that much credit. But, my dad was a longtime college basketball coach. He was a head college coach for 34 years. I was in college coaching for over 40 years. I played for him at Bluffton University. Got right into coaching myself. So was lucky enough to graduate and get right into the coaching industry, the hoop industry, if you will, at the University of Akron with Coach Keith Dambrat. Spent almost 4 years there, 3 seasons, almost 4 years. Started out as a graduate assistant, video coordinator, did some ops work, player development, and that just really springboarded me into everything else I did. It's kind of where I learned how to work, learned how to be a professional, met some of my very best friends there, met my wife in my time at Akron. From there, I got an opportunity with the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, starting off with the Canton Charge, their G League team, now the Cleveland Charge in the, it's actually the D League. It was actually still the D League my first year. We were still wearing Adidas, and things have changed quite a bit. But spent 6 years in the Cavs organization, G League intern, video coordinator, G League assistant, was the interim head coach, 2 different occasions. Those are stories for another time. Did player development at the Cavs, summer league. Wore a lot of different hats. Spent a couple summers with our national team, USA Basketball. Got to do some video work for the select team, the qualifying teams with that were coached by Jeff Van Gundy. So some great stories there. And then just got to be around the national team in 2019. Coach Pop, Steve Kerr, all those guys. Will Hardy was a part of that. And just to be a fly on the wall, helping in practices and helping with video, things like that. We started Run the Show almost 3 years, or just over 3 years ago now. We have 2 fully functioning training facilities, one in Cranberry, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Obviously, we're sitting in our first Northeast Ohio location here in Twinsburg, just about 20 minutes south of Cleveland. And, we're looking to continue to build. That's why we started this podcast, Hoop Industry, just, voicing our messages, voicing, our experiences. We get to work with a lot of great folks in basketball, right? Coaches. We trained several NBA players, college players. We worked with some great high school players in the area, one down the street, Anthony Thompson, and really they have a ton of great players at Western Reserve Academy. So fortunate to be able to work with them. And again, basketball has been my whole life, just a passion of mine. My business partner, Steve McNeese, and Alan Deep as well. And I know it's your passion too, Spence.
Huge passion of mine. And the first time I met you was when you were actually the interim coach of the Canton Charges you were talking about. Dylan Windler was on rehab assignment. So I've been covering the Cavs for about 11, 12 years, the NBA in general, and basketball really around the world, to be quite honest. So the idea behind this podcast was just literally us putting our networks together and saying, we have a lot of people that we know and a lot of mutual connections. So why not bring it to the world? Why not do this? And I think it's a great idea. I'd love to get into my background. It would just take way too long. Long story short, I started in baseball, ended up just emailing the Akron Beacon Journal until they couldn't say no to get an interview. And then I ended up getting into high school stuff. And then that led me into more of the basketball world. Sam Amico, huge part of that too, getting me in the locker room. First time, 2012. My first interview was actually with Alonzo G, still a really good friend to this day. He's a scout right now in the NBA. So, that just kind of how it kick-started my career. I had to watch those awful 2012, 2013 versions of the team. Although they had Kyrie Irving, they had these really solid players in the building. Deion Waiters was one of my favorite ones to watch. After that,
Ball hard D Waiters.
Yeah, ball hard D Waiters, baby, Philly cheese. And then you got, Anthony Bennett the next year. And then after that, LeBron comes back. So I just kind of got thrown into the fire. I've covered a couple of finals. I've been to 7 different summer leagues now, which is insane to me. 3 different all-star games. It's just been a whirlwind of an experience for sure. And then just my network just expanded globally pretty much when I was working over at Basketball News. Talked with the first Indian pro basketball player in Australia, which his name is Imban Hyams, one of my really good friends. And just this is what's crazy to me about hoops is how small the basketball world is, even though it's a global game. And I think that is one of the things, the messages that people need to understand is you never know who you're talking to. You never know who can get you places, and you never know who's going to be listening. So that's one of the main lessons I think is going to be coming from this podcast.
Yeah, that's something, your last point there is something I talk about a lot. And whether it's, continuing to grow and move forward in my own life or with our business and what we're doing, but, younger guys or girls that, ask for advice or, hey, what can I do to do some of the things that you did? Or how do I work in college basketball? How do I work in the NBA? And the answer is exactly what you just said. Build the relationships, and you got to invest in people, right? You can't start a relationship expecting the dividend, the benefit to come in a week, right? You never know when it'll pay dividends. It might be in a month, it might be in 5 years. And that's the beauty of it is, I think it's, almost 6 years ago, it'll be 6 years ago next month, right? You interviewed me after
That's crazy.
A Charge game.
Yep.
Right. And here we are 6 years later working on a project together. So that's the beauty of working in the hoop industry. And that's why we're doing this.
And running the show, right?
That's right.
We're going to do that every week.
That's right.
We're going to say run the show. But what's cool, though, is that, we maintain that relationship over that years, whatever is like following you on social media or whatever. And then you see that I have my little brother, right? Cade Davies. He plays at Capital University. He's a sophomore now. He's been training him for like 4 or 5 years now. And he just played at Cleveland State the other day, guarding Dayan Nessa, one of the top, under the radar mid-major prospects going towards the pros. And he just had a heck of a World Cup for Switzerland. So like that is, again, showing you how small the basketball world can truly be. But we'll get into, your work with Cade and your work with some of these other guys another time. But as we were saying earlier, the basketball season is underway at all levels right now. And you briefly mentioned it, but Western Reserve Academy is somewhere that you've gotten close to and you've obviously worked with. Anthony Thompson just committed to Ohio State with Jake Diebler. Mm-hmm. And obviously we have our buddy Brian Walsh over there who we went to school with. He was playing at Akron while I was there. Obviously good friends at that time, but he's over at Ohio State now with Jake. And that whole relationship too with Anthony and getting that to be with Brian and be with Jake. Like, how did that come about? And obviously your work with Western Reserve we can get into as well.
Yeah. So when we started Run the Show just over 3 years ago, I was just looking for a gym because at the time, obviously, we did not have our own training facilities, our own gyms. And anybody that's in, training or any sort of whatever youth or private sports, getting a gym is hands down the hardest variable, the hardest obstacle, right? There's just not enough of them on a private level that people are willing to rent out. Schools don't really have any benefit to rent them out, right? It's just a liability issue. They're state funded. So I love this area. And this is kind of the area that we want to root our business in, at least in Northeast Ohio. And, Coach Garvey and Coach Hutchins at Western Reserve were pretty much the only people that were willing to rent they have a great facility over there, by the way. I mean, 5 great courts under one roof, which is another thing that you just don't see. Beautiful, beautiful place, Western Reserve Academy. Feels like you're at
a college,
an Ivy League.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It is a beautiful place. So anyway, they were one of the few people that were willing to rent me gym space on a consistent basis, and it allowed us to sort of start our business in Northeast Ohio here while we were opening our facility in Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh. And just really, our relationship blossomed with Coach Garvey, Coach Hutchins, and, ended up started working with some of their players, got close with Coach Garvey, and, here I am and very involved in their program and doing player development and going to the games, and great. They have a great culture. They do a phenomenal job. They get great players, first-class kids. They won the national championship in 2024, so 2 seasons ago, the prep national championships. Very cool, excuse me, to be a part of that, be a small piece of that. And it's a great part of my day to be able to go down there and work with those guys, talented kids that want to be great. Obviously, Anthony Thompson is a special talent. He's coming into Ohio State, one of the best high school kids in the country, hands down. Unbelievable shot maker. I don't think I've seen a 16, 17-year-old kid be able to make. His makeability is just elite. I've never seen it at that young of an age. So sky's the limit for him. Certainly glad he ended up at Ohio State with our pal Brian Walsh and Coach Diebler. So happy for those guys. Happy for Anthony. Western Reserve, great things.
I know you've been trying to get me to do a story on Western Reserve for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
Can you just explain? This is like one of the best kept secrets, or worst kept secrets, I should say, in Northeast Ohio. You have a
certainly is
national program in your backyard, but somehow people don't understand that, oh my gosh, Anthony Thompson's here. What, Nico Bundelau, I think, was there, right? Like, there's a bunch of these prospects that come there globally, and
Sure.
No one really even knows it, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hidden gem, right? Not only the place as an institution, but their basketball programs, boys and girls. The girls were national runners-up last year. And, some of their other athletic programs are national programs. So they've just done a great job of building their culture as an institution. It's an unbelievable, super impressive place. But yeah, it is interesting. You have, I think, they have anywhere from 5 to 8 Division I kids on their team with Division I offers every year. The last couple of years they've had, Nico ended up being a McDonald's All-American. Anthony Thompson fully expected to be a McDonald's All-American, one of the best players in the country right now. And so, yeah, it's interesting though. I think that's the fact that folks, I don't know if they don't know it's there, but I just think the basketball culture in Northeast Ohio is so rich and strong. It's like, you know what? The folks that support Walsh Jesuit, they're supporting Walsh Jesuit, right? The folks that support St. Ignatius, they're supporting St. Ignatius. The folks that, are locked in with Coach Sonny at Garfield, they're going to the Garfield games, and rightfully so. And so while I would love more people to pay attention and support those guys, it's interesting. They're not from here. So, there's not a lot of families here. But, I just think it speaks more to the culture of Northeast Ohio that, because there are great basketball programs. Coach Flannery is doing a great job at getting the Walsh Jesuit program back on track, and they're going to be really good. Obviously St. Ignatius has done really well recently. There's just so many good programs that, with the bigger schools, the smaller schools. You have Mr. Basketball right up the road here at Marcus Johnson and Garfield. There's a really good player at Lutheran East right now, Dylan Ziegler, who you're going to start hearing a ton about. And all the other programs are just and good coaches, really, really great coaches. Coach Ford at Nordonia is doing a great job. So I'm missing a ton of names, but so many good coaches, so many good players and programs. we just have a very, very unique basketball culture here in Northeast Ohio.
Most definitely. And that's something too, I think, like when you think about the culture in the state, you've got Kevin Boyle coming up from Montverde to come and coach Spire up in Geneva now. And this is a guy who's just, 10, 11 championships or whatever over his career. Even before Montverde, he was over at St. Patrick's and coaching Kyrie Irving, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. So, like, there is a hotbed in the Buckeye State right now as far as basketball goes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that even continues to grow over at Spire. Like you said, Western Reserve, all that good stuff. And we even talk about this, too, as far as a hotbed being in Ohio. Darren Peterson. I mean, come on, man. This is a guy who's lighting up the college basketball world already at Kansas, and he's already projected to be a top pick in next year's draft. He's been around here a while. Started off at CVCA, ended up playing for Matt Futch, who used to go to the University of Akron. So, like, there's so many ties, and the way that has grown over time that I think that Ohio, they're known for football. We're known for football here, but I mean, it's becoming a hoop state pretty quick.
Yeah, we used to be. It's, it's kind of, I think traditionally it's been football country, but I think since, about 25 years ago, things really started to change a little bit. A kid from Akron, Ohio. It's, you talk about, our culture, our basketball culture in Northeast Ohio. Think about the kids that were raised here, that were developed here, not necessarily playing in Ohio anymore, but are a product of Ohio and Northeast Ohio. Darren Peterson, right? Obviously, LeBron's the big one, and he's towards the end of his career. But Nico Bundalo was a McDonald's All-American recently. Darren was a McDonald's All-American. You got Anthony Thompson playing in Northeast Ohio. You have Mr. Basketball, Marcus Johnson, right? You have, who am I missing? I mean,
from the past, you could really go through OJ Mayo or something like that, right?
Costa Kufis. You got
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum.
Yep. Larry Nance Jr.
Larry Nance Jr.
Yeah.
So there really is a plethora of not only talent but NBA talent that's come from this area, and it's really cool.
How much college hoops have you been watching so far?
You know what? I watch bits and pieces.
Okay.
I played Division III basketball. So my dad actually retired from Bluffton University. I think this is his third year out, but got right back into it. His retirement job, he's on staff at Ohio Northern University in the OAC, which your brother Cade plays in at Capital, and Mount Union's in that, and Baldwin Wallace. So I follow that league a lot. I do. I have to be honest. Truthfully, just like the NBA, I follow the teams that have guys that we've worked with, and see how they're doing, see how they're playing, and not only just to check in on them, but hey, when we're back in the gym with them, I have some information in my brain to use to help them continue to grow and get better. But the early season games are always fun because nowadays, right, everybody at the Division I level basically has a new team. With the transfer portal and NIL, everything has changed so much. So, 10 years ago, you pretty much kind of knew, hey, all right, well, Duke's going to be this, Ohio State's going to be this. Now, it's wide open because you just don't know how all those new pieces are going to fit. And so everybody kind of has a new team to start the year, and it's fun. It's interesting. I like the brand of basketball that a lot of folks are playing and, spreading it out, playing fast, a very skilled game now. So, I've enjoyed watching these early season games so far.
It's the wild, wild west in college basketball right now, guys. You're not even seeing guys getting recruited out of high school anymore. It's just coaches are looking for that transfer portal and just picking.
Free agency, yeah.
Yep, picking right off of the mid-majors, picking from other teams, even in their conference at this point. But I did want to get into something here with you on college. Mm-hmm. We obviously worked with some guys over the summer that you want to probably talk about. One, AJ DeBansa, for sure, over at BYU, and then Jaden Glover-Toscano over at St. Joe's right now.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to work with, be in the gym with some phenomenal, talented guys this summer. We're able to spend a few days with AJ DeBansa. Jaden at St. Joe's is kind of under the radar, but fully expect him to have a breakout season in the Atlantic 10. He's already played well in his first couple games, and guy that can just really score the ball. So if you watch the A10, pay attention to him. Obviously our guy Tavari at Akron is off to a great start to the season and a proven winner, a guy that could easily be playing at a high major at a Big Ten school, and decided to come back to Akron and try to win another championship. But Amir Robinson is our guy from Akron back at Nevada and doing his thing. And Coy Thurman, who we've worked with several times, was in this building over the summer at Oakland with Coach Campy. There's dozens of them that I'm sure we're missing right now, but even the smaller college guys like your brother, like Miles Reynolds at BW, Nevin Robson at Bluffton University. So it's really cool. And then you got the women's side, Izzy Calloway, who we've worked a ton with, who is now at the University of Akron. I think she led Walsh University last year in scoring as a true freshman.
Very impressive.
Cam Hoover at Murray State from, I believe she went to Woodridge, I think. Good player on the women's side. And then Mac Blackford, who was in here a ton this summer working with us, led the A10 last year, if I'm not mistaken, in three-point percentage. Can really shoot the ball. So excited to follow everybody here throughout the season.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed that you're just able to keep tabs with all that and even know those statistics off the top of your head. That's it's pretty bold. Like that's tough to do because, you work with hundreds of players. So, but this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to maintain those relationships. Stuff can't be transactional for you if you want to go somewhere in this business. So it's really important. Let's shift gears a little bit to the NBA because now we can talk about some of the guys that we were in the gym with over the offseason. First and foremost, Jonathan Kuminga, I think, was the big one, especially with all the stuff going on with his contract negotiations. Couldn't be more professional, couldn't be more of a dominant presence in the gym. I'll tell you what, just seeing him a couple times this summer, it was a pleasure to watch him work out. And I know that Kevin Christie and Jameel were feeling it. They were feeling it. Justin Silver trying to guard. It was a fun time with JK. But obviously other ones too. Daishen Nix, who had a 46-point game in the G League the other night for Rio Grande Valley. You've got Delano Banton. You got all of these guys that came in. Jalen Slauson, big time. Just to get everybody in the gym together and really put in that sweat equity, which I think really connects with players. And it was fun to be a part of that. You even had me. I'm a media guy. I'm in there rebounding. I'm in there passing, setting the wrong types of screens, trying to defend the right way. I'm learning still on the fly myself, but it was super fun this summer.
Yeah, great summer of hoops, honestly. I think in terms of just amazing the diversity of players that, we worked with. We had,
oh my gosh, I forgot Trey Mann. How did I forget Trey Mann? It's our guy.
Yeah, no, some really good players. We from the third graders that we have in here, just learning to, to a guy that's going to probably be an NBA All-Star. Phenomenal, unreal summer in the gym for us. You start with JK and totally blown away just being around him up close and his work ethic. And it's hard to describe. And if you've paid attention and you've watched any of their games, the Warriors' early season games here, you can just tell he's somebody that's just going to continue to get better, continue to thrive, and he's got a lot of basketball to play yet in his career. So really excited to continue to follow him. Trayshawn, man, I grew up an Allen Iverson fan, and so his game reminds me, he's like a modern day Allen Iverson, and super fun game, skill set, tough as nails, coming off a tough back injury that seems like he's healthy now. And so really excited to watch him blossom, and all the other guys. Daishen, kind of a guy that is reinventing himself and working his way back up, but off to a good start. Was here for about 3 months, and he his first game in the G League with the Rockets G League team had 45 and was super efficient and is making the right plays and spraying out and rebounding and guarding. So really excited to just watch all these guys throughout the season here.
It's been so fun to be a part of that process too. I'm not going to lie. There's got to be some sort of satisfaction when you're on the side of it. You're like, okay, I helped this guy get to this next, or I helped this girl get to this next level. It's one of those things where you just got to, there's a stick to itiveness in the pros and at all levels really that you have to have in order to get to the level that you want to get to. Like there's so many people that bow out. There's so many people that bow out and can't handle that. It takes a real strong work ethic. It takes a real strong mind to continue going on your path, especially some that flunk out of the league maybe and then just have to work their way back.
Yeah, it's, it's not only at the NBA, I think it's at all levels. To me, it's a war of attrition, and I remember playing Division III college basketball, and, I think, it's always interesting to see the freshman class at that level, and then, usually half of them don't make it to junior year. And it's just, it's not easy. It's not for everybody. But, and then at the NBA level, it's like, some guys get their opportunity right away and they're highly rated or whatever, or get drafted and they're good. Some guys, undrafted and you see them make it, and tons of examples of that. Other guys, they get in early, might get drafted or on a contract, but doesn't always work out for them. And, maybe they go down to the G League, and sometimes it just takes a change of scenery, a different system, a different coach, playing with different guys. Look at Josh Minot, right? Why not Minot? 4 years in Minnesota,
Killing it with the Celtics.
Just kind of, whatever. Just didn't really work out for him great there. Change of scenery, change of system. He's killing it. He's playing super well. I think he fits what they do well. He's having fun. So sometimes it's just that. It's just a change of scenery, a different system, and it's all fit. I really believe it's all fit. But, guys, you just got to hang in there. You just got to have that growth mindset and just keep chipping away. Can't get discouraged and just keep working and trying to get better. That's it.
And Run the Show plays a huge part in helping that, right? So I wanted to get into a little bit. We talked about it on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show with our guy Mike Lucas, Mikey McNuggets. Shout out to Channel 3, of course. But the way that you guys train and the way that you prepare these players and these athletes is a lot different than maybe what it's been in the past. 1-on-0 workouts. This time you've got Jameel in there, you've got Kevin in there, you got all these guys who are basically providing bodies. Our guy Justin Silver, another one. Like, what is it with that method that makes it so much better than just going against nobody, 1-on-0 workouts? And how do you differentiate yourself from the rest of the training crews out there? Because I feel like this is truly unique to what Run the Show does.
Sure, yeah. Look, the CLA stuff that we talked about with Mikey on his show, it is a big part of the game now. It's a big part of how we train and learn.
Constraints-led approach, by the way, for those who don't know.
Constraints-led approach, and it's the idea of, block training versus random training, or I call it live training, right? It's live situations. It's live decision-making, right? So my philosophy is, everything should be either random or quote unquote live, unless you're learning a new skill or learning something new, right? Because I can't just say, hey, Spence, do a Euro slow step. We're doing 5 of them. Go ahead, man. You don't, you might not even know what that is. It's like, hey, speak Mandarin. Go ahead, say a sentence, right? You have to learn it. You have to learn the skill. You have to drill it. But at a certain point, right, you reach a threshold of how much better am I really getting at handling the basketball without defense? How much better am I really getting at shooting the ball without somebody flying at me or without a hand in my face? How much better am I getting at finishing without, having a body on me, having somebody on my hip or cutting me off, right? And the other idea is, we want to become reactive as athletes, as basketball players, instead of pre-programmed. You don't make a move or say, oh, I'm dribbling up, I'm gonna do this move and I'm gonna finish this way. No, you react based on what the defense does or what you see. So I think it's super important to train that way, right? At a certain point, yeah, if we're working on finishing, we have to add a body to you, right? We can't just finish against air. Now again, you have to drill it, you have to learn the footwork and be comfortable with it. But eventually it's the decision making, it's the reactiveness that we want to add in. And so, one of the things we're able to do, we have a full staff of coaches, trainers, guys that played, guys that have coached, at the college level. I coached at the pro level, that understand the game, understand how it sounds, how it should feel, what it looks like, right? So we are able to put them in game-like situations, and not only that, but understand, hey, this kid plays it at Hudson High School, right? I've seen them play. I know what their coach likes. So it's also playing into, I think a lot of trainers are like, we're going to do what I like to do, what I think, but how much does that help you, right? You're only as good as, what's the goal? To get better at training or to get better at basketball, right? And to get better at basketball, you have to play into where you're playing at, what your coach wants, how he's running things. And if you don't do that, what's the point, right? So understanding the player you're working with, where he plays at or she plays at, who they play for, how they do things, right? So if we're doing live actions, we should do actions that their coaches play in or use, right? So just taking it to a whole nother level, and instead of just showing up and, well, we're gonna just do these random things, and it's got to be purposeful. Again, the goal is not to get better at training, right? Or to do moves or things without defense. It's to get better at playing basketball, get better at playing in a game. And I think that's lost a lot in training. So that's our approach. We have great people. I think that's why we're different. It's not just one person. We have a staff of folks that understand it, that know how to execute it, and they do a great job of it.
I'd love for you to go after the people on social media that were clowning everybody who was working with JK over the summer. If you saw those, Aaron posted those on his Twitter, and they're like, who are these guys they're playing against? And here, lo and behold, JK is having one of the best seasons of his career right now, as we were talking about earlier, huh?
Yeah, and, JK's trainer, Ant Wells, who one of the best I've seen, again, does a phenomenal job, incorporates the same things that I'm talking about. And so to be able to help him with his workouts with JK was super cool. I learned from him. And that's the other thing, as a trainer, as a coach, you got to be, you can't, no matter where you've been, what level you've coached, who you've worked with, you got to continue to want to learn, to get better, learn from other people, right? And I'll admit I haven't always been like that. There's times where I think I know everything. But where I've really grown and become better is when I'm able to take a back seat to others, somebody like Ant, and learn how and see how he's done things, because he's been super successful in developing NBA players. So yeah, no, it's a great summer of hoops and learning, and we're just always looking to get better. I think that's another reason why we're open. Hey, we don't know everything. We don't know everything about the game. Like, we want to keep growing, getting better, and that's our mindset.
Now that I've experienced those kind of things, I haven't actually been like on the court in the game situations, but just even the rebounding, the passing, the screaming, the defense, whatever like that. When I see the Cavs do that in the practice facility, I get kind of giddy, because I'm like, I know what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like I saw that down actually over in New York when DeAndre Hunter was coming back from his knee injury in preseason. They were just having some fun at the end of practice, and they were setting all their coaches in different types of closeouts. It was from the behind, it was from behind, it was from the side, it was coming straight at you. So I was like, I've actually seen this in action, and I've been a part of it. So like, it's kind of cool when you can put yourself in that shoes, even though it's at the pro level versus, doing it at the facility with you guys. So I think that's really, really interesting. But yeah, NBA season's off to a great start. College, same thing. We kind of got into that. High school, all that good stuff. But I feel like this is a good place to wrap up, unless you had anything else on your mind.
No, I don't think so. I'm excited for the holidays.
Yeah.
Right around the corner, Thanksgiving, we got the tree up. I'm putting the lights up outside this weekend, and it's the best time of year, right? You got, obviously, we're hoops, we're hoop industry, we're basketball folks, but I love watching football. You got everything on right now. You got college football, NFL, you got college basketballs in full swing, NBA's rolling, and you got the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and great time of year. So I'm excited, looking forward to. Got some great guests coming up. We got some really, really great guests lined up to talk basketball, players, coaches, other media personnel. So this will be fun, man.
It will be really fun. And the only downside about this time of year is the snow. But it actually melted while we were recording this podcast. So the sun is out here in Northeast Ohio, and hopefully it'll be out a little bit longer because I can't stand the cold. I can't stand the ice. I can't stand the snow, any of that stuff. But thank you guys so much for joining us this week on Hoop Industry Podcast. We will be back with another episode soon, so make sure not to forget that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just put up our first video with Tavari Johnson, our first episode. It's up on YouTube right now, so make sure to check that out. We are also now on Apple, and we are now on Spotify after I did that stuff last night. So be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a rating, pass it around. If you love hoops, then you're going to love this. So thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Hoop Industry.